Hey folks, Dr. Brad Semp here, aka the Busyness Doctor, and host of the Busyness TV show here on busyness.com. This is the show dedicated to helping you to unbusy yourself. Now today's episode is brought to us by our friends at listping.com. Listping is an email management and autoresponder service dedicated to helping you to grow, manage, and communicate with your clients and customers via email. You can create an account right now for the first month for only $1 by visiting listping.com. In today's episode, I'm first going to cover Google+, and then I interview a good friend and amazing business mind, Paul Evans. And I wrap up with an Ask Dr. Brad segment entitled, How to Quit Your Job. So are you on Google Plus as of yet? I'm sure you've heard of this new social media platform that our friends at Google have released several weeks ago. Now I've jumped in, and quite frankly, I love Google Plus. Why? Because I'm a Gmail user, a Google lover, as well as a Mac lover, but from a Gmail and Google perspective, it allows me to engage with folks on one consistent platform. In fact, over the past couple of weeks, my number of logins and engagement on Facebook has, quite frankly, tanked. Now, everybody has their own opinion and will use platforms differently. I don't want to sit here and give you all the benefits of Google+. I think that's something that you'll experience for yourself as you get involved. And so I want to remind you, though, to come look me up at Brad Semp. My Google ID is Brad Semp. Send me a note, follow my stream. We're offering a free How to Combat Busyness and to Live an Unbusy Lifestyle training session if you ask me for that on Google+. So that aside, that's all about Google+. What I really want to focus on in this particular segment is Google+, Facebook, LinkedIn, all these different social media platforms. There's hundreds of other ones out there. How do you use them? And how do you remain, or use them in a way that you remain free from addiction, that you're not addicted to them, you're not net-fixed to them, right? So I want to give you 3 things that you can do so that you can effectively use your social media platforms and not become addicted to them. And I call them the 3 Ps. And that is pick one, make sure you know what the purpose is, that's the second P, and then plan to engage with them on designated times, that's the third P. So pick, purpose, and plan. Number 1, pick. I want you to pick one social media platform. Don't try to be everything to everybody on all platforms. There's just not enough time in the day, and you will be thrust into busyness. Number 2, make sure you have a purpose. Whatever platform you decide to engage in, what's your purpose for using it? Is it to generate leads for your business? Is it to engage with your friends or your family? Is it to further engage and develop relationships with existing clients and customers? All of those and many more are viable purposes for using a social media platform. But what is your purpose? And finally, I want you to plan. Plan to check that platform at designated times throughout the day. It might be 9 a.m. in the morning and 3 p.m. in the afternoon. It may be at night before you go to bed. Whatever it is, do not sit there with that platform open, watching for replies and comments, and then adding your replies and comments. Because if you do that, you're interrupting your productivity, your ability to get things done throughout the day. So with those 3 things, I think you'll find a much more enjoyable use and much more effective use of social media platforms like Google+. Pick, purpose, and plan. Now time for our I Hate Gurus segment. This is a segment in which I interview not gurus, but experts. And today I have a gentleman who I met several years ago in a joint mastermind. And to this day, I still follow this individual repeatedly across his many different businesses and across his philanthropic endeavors as an individual man, as a human being, and his heart for the world. This gentleman is absolutely an awesome individual in this kingdom. And I'll tell you, he is a productivity expert. He's one of the best speakers I've ever been exposed to. He teaches speaking, has a couple speaking products. He is the owner of Nicheology, helping people to get started online, to use private label rights materials. He's got his fingers all over. He's a master marketer from a perspective of low dollar memberships, membership sites. I've learned a ton from him there. The list goes on and on and on, not to mention his efforts from a worldly perspective and philanthropic perspective of helping orphan children around the world. So with that long intro, I'd love for you to watch this interview with my good friend and just amazing business mind, Mr. Paul Evans. So Paul, welcome to the Busyness TV show.
Hey Brad, glad to be here, buddy.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking time out. And I always start with this question, and that is, you're not really a guru, are you?
No.
Good. We get answers all over the map. And, it's not that I don't like gurus or have anything against gurus. It's just that I don't like the word. So we like to bring on experts, and I'm glad that you're not a guru.
Absolutely, man. I tell you, I've got plenty of people that would confirm I'm not one. So
okay, well, good. So, hey, I love talking with you each and every time. I love hearing you speak. And, one of the things one of the last times I heard you speak, and I think you maybe call it massive action. If not, you can correct me on that. But you handed out at one of our masterminds a little notebook, and then in the keynote that you gave, you talked about how you use that notebook and basically getting 3 things accomplished each and every day. Can you kind of reset that for the viewers here and walk us through how you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if it is massive action as much as specific action. One of the things that I see holding people back more than anything else is they're putting way too much pressure on themselves to accomplish far more than they could in a very short time period. On average, it's not that we shouldn't challenge ourselves. But instead, I basically have 3 main things that I want to accomplish today. And there's actually one of those that I believe is critical, and 2 of those I would say I feel are essential, but if they don't get done, it's no big deal. And so I just make a list either every night or early in the morning to say, this is what I want to get done today, and give myself permission to really work on that, to really focus on that. And then if I complete those, I feel like I've really had a productive day. I think at times we tend to define productivity as using every single moment, or as we often say, make every moment count. But the truth is, it's actually impossible. Yep. And it's a little bit too much pressure, and we're making it too difficult. Whereas if we will set, at least in my case, 3 specific things to do a day, and then say whether it took an hour, or whether it took 5 hours, or whether it took 16 hours, you say, this day has been valuable because I accomplished what I set out to do.
I love it. So when you're making that list of 3 things, and you intentionally try to identify something that's critical, and then the other one's not so much. And how do you define critical?
Well, and each person's going to define it separately, but it depends on the specific goal I'm working on at the time. If I'm working on a business goal related to profit, then the number 1 action of the day has to increase sales specifically. If one of my goals happens to be fitness, which I try not to focus on, if that happened to be one of the goals and I was severely out of shape, I may make one of my critical actions for the day exercise. Mm-hmm. And because of the end result that I'm trying to gain, that's what makes it critical. And so out of the 3, which of those 3 is really the most important and has to get done, or else I'm not going to make the goal?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So let's say your critical item that you're working on, as you said, sometimes it may take 15 minutes, sometimes it may take 5 hours. Let's look at the longer one for a minute. Let's say you're working on something that takes the better part of a day, maybe 5 hours or something like that. How do you personally attack that? I'm guessing you don't work straight for 5 hours, or maybe you do. How do you divide up that time?
Yeah, I'm definitely not able to work 5 hours straight. I will just chunk it up, in 15 to 30-minute segments. I'll always take a short break after that. And then I'll also build in some time that's going to allow me to release a little bit. Some people like to take a walk, or, like to go out and get some fresh air, or check email. Give yourself permission. A lot of people say, you're not going to open email at all until you get completely done. Mm-hmm. I might say I've got 10 minutes to answer some emails. I'll set a timer on that and do that. So I chunk it up in blocks, give myself rest periods.
Yeah, I love it. So what happens when you get interrupted during that period? Like, how do you handle, what if something else comes up? Do you just get back to it? Or how do you, number one, I'm going to ask you kind of a 2-part question here. Okay. How do you handle interruptions? And then how do you prevent interruptions from happening if you do it all?
Okay. Prevention, if you are in control of the situation, you can prevent it. Mm-hmm. But if you're not, then you're just not able to do that. Right. And so you've got to decide ahead of time that if you're interrupted, and it's an essential or an emergency interruption, then you're going to be okay with that. So you've made that decision ahead of time. But as far as handling interruptions, number one is realizing they're going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Number two does not mean that that day is a complete failure. Take credit for what you have accomplished. And then I make one of two decisions. I either decide to do it the next day and just forget about it till then, or I decide that I'm going to stay up a little bit later, or I'm going to get up earlier just to make sure I've got that extra time.
Yeah.
And it really depends on how critical that specific task is. Now, if it's like something that I promised to get out, there was a deadline, I'll just stay up as late as I need to crush it and get it done.
Yeah. Now, I know you talk to your clients and the folks that you teach and lead and coach with this concept of peak times. And I know you're an early riser, so your peak time, I believe, is early, like 4 or 5 a.m. when most of us normal people are still sleeping. And I say that
normal people.
I say that affectionately. I say that affectionately because in the show yesterday, or the one that's coming out in a couple of days here, actually, I highlight Craig Groeschel's book called Weird because normal isn't working. And so I say that very affectionately because I'm trying to get more and more like you to get up early. But anyways, peak times, what happens in the instance, you're working in your peak time, and then let's say you knock that out. So in your case, you knock out all 3 of your things, let's say by 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. What do you do then?
Whatever I want.
Awesome.
It may be that I take the day off and just relax. It might be that, I decide, okay, I've got that done. I'm on a roll. If my energy's still strong, if I'm still excited, I'll say, I've got total freedom. Yeah. So what am I the most excited about right now that has no weight to it, has no end result that has to be accomplished? I'm just excited about it. And usually that's work related. It might be an article, might be a video that I make, but I try to use that extra energy towards something that I've really wanted to do and maybe put off a little bit.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, in the Unbusy Secrets interview, we're going to carry on here in just a little bit, in a much larger and more in-depth interview that I'm excited to peel back the onion, of your big brain there, because you've got lots of fun stuff to share, fun and impactful stuff. So, but one of the things that you mentioned was in the long span, tasks or actions that you're doing, you break those up into 15 or 30-minute increments, and I love that. I teach a concept called action units, which is 15 minutes, short, focused, intense, uninterrupted period of time, and of course you can string multiple action units together, but it's exactly what you said, which is 15, 30 minutes, maybe a little longer, maybe a little shorter, but then taking breaks in between. What is something you've highlighted the 3 things that you do on your on a daily basis, but I'm sure there's other activities that maybe come to mind. What is something that you could give to our viewers to say, each and every day, here's something that 15 minutes that somebody can do to really improve their let's say their productivity or getting things done?
Yeah, I think for me it's an exercise that maybe we'll call it, say, the 15-minute question.
Okay.
Is that I want to make sure that for every task that I'm going to do that day, that I am ultra clear on the exact purpose of that.
Okay.
See, a lot of people taking a lot of action, even massive action, but it's actually the incorrect action for the goal that they want to reach. And so with that 15 minutes, what I would challenge people to do and what I challenge myself to do is really think, to get quiet, to get still, to say these are the actions for today. What is going to be the end result? Maybe the maximum end result if everything goes perfect, and even a minimum end result if things don't go quite as planned. But so I'm extremely clear of why I'm doing this. I see, especially in online business and one of the areas that I work in, I see a lot of people taking action without thought. Someone, let's say a guru, told them to do something, and so they start performing the task without understanding it. When I first started in business at the age of 20, I opened a fitness center. And people would come in and say, I want a workout that is going to make me lean and is also going to make me muscular. And they would say, just give me the workout. I was like, the workout is not enough. You can't go through the motions and get that result. You need to understand your body. You need to understand how exercise affects it. You've got to understand how diet affects it. Because once you've got the understanding, once you've got the clarity, then you can go and take multiple exercises and create an incredible result. And so that 15 minutes, if you get extremely clear about the end result that you want to achieve, then you can look at your plan and say, okay, I see how this is going to produce the result. Or, you know what, if I follow this, I'm not going to get that result. Just like when I'm trying to get lean and Little Debbie Swiss cake rolls or banana pudding rolls are calling me, all right, it's not going to be a great result
Yeah.
because I'm unclear on what it takes.
Well, I hear you there, and I know you and I are similar in a lot of ways, and one of those ways is we both struggle with discipline. Even though we get a lot of stuff done, we both struggle with discipline. And so, in the Unbusy Secrets interview that we're going to carry on to next, that's one of the areas that we're gonna focus on and figure out how you've been able to take your undisciplined mind and really put some discipline to it, and we'll have some fun, engaging conversation around that. So, unfortunately, we're out of time with this interview, but Paul, I really thank you for coming on to the I Hate Guru segment of the Busyness TV show. And I know you've got your hands on a lot of different things, and we're going to also cover some of that in the Unbusy Secrets. But where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, come check me out at Paul B as in boy, Evans.com. PaulBEvans.com. That's my personal development blog and idea generator. And so just come visit me there. We'll have a great time.
Awesome. So PaulBEvans.com. I'll put the link below for folks. And Paul, thanks again for coming on, and look forward to speaking with you some more.
Hey, thanks, Brad.
All right. Bye-bye.
So welcome back. I hope that you enjoyed that interview with my good friend and awesome business mind, Paul Evans. You can find out more about Paul by visiting him at nichology.com or at his blog at paulbevans.com. That's Paul, the letter B, Evans.com. I'd like to remind you also that Paul and I go on for another 40-plus minute interview in our Unbusy Secrets membership program. So all of you that are already members, log in now. That video is there, and you're going to thoroughly enjoy it. If you're not a member, then look for the link below. Come join us. At only $10 a month, you get access to an entire vault of historical interviews, just like the one that you're also going to be able to watch with Paul, but with a whole bunch of other experts, and then more and more experts each and every month. Our question today comes from Dawn in Ruston, Virginia. Dawn, thank you for your question, and for me answering it on air, you are going to receive a free copy of our Entrepreneur Cash Map package. That is a $497 value. So thank you for this question. Dawn says, Dr. Brad, I have worked for my current company for almost 14 years. About 2 years ago, I started a website and now earn about $600 per month. I need to earn about $3,000 per month so that I can quit my day job. What advice do you have that will help me to be able to quit my job as fast as possible? Dawn, that's a great question. And I took this route as well. I worked as a full-time employee in the automotive industry, last few years as an executive manager, started my company on the side at night before I left to pursue my entrepreneurial endeavors and my coaching and speaking and authoring on a full-time basis. So I commend you for taking the first step. Now, if you and I were speaking face-to-face, I'd have a whole bunch more questions for you because I'd like to know more about your specific situation so that I could coach you and help you with specific steps to increase your revenue from $600 to $3,000 and more per month. However, since we're not able to do that face-to-face, I'm going to answer in a much more generic way. There's 3 things I'd like you to consider and to really do before you quit your job. And this is going to help you to not only quit your job now, but to be successful and to sustain that, to not have to go back to a full-time corporate job in the future. The first thing is enjoyment. Make sure that what you're doing, your new endeavor that you're working on, that you absolutely love. It's something that doesn't feel like work to you, because it's not. It's just something that's in your heart. It's passion. You're passionate about it, and you love to do it. So make sure it's something that you enjoy to do. Number 2 is to make sure that you're stable financially. Make sure that you have the funds, one way or another, before you leave and go out on your own for the new endeavor. Because if you don't, then what's going to happen is you're going to add a whole bunch of undue stress to your mind and to your body. And starting a new endeavor alone is enough. It's enough stress without having to worry about how you're going to pay the bills. So stay in your current job until your new endeavor is able to pay the bills fully, and then make your break. And lastly, the last thing is team. I want you to build a team. Even if it's just a single virtual assistant right now, start to build a team underneath you so that when you make that break, you're not the only person doing all of the work. So I hope that those three things, Don, are going to help you to quit your job as fast as possible, to be successful and sustainable in your new endeavors. Don, thank you again very much. I'd like to remind everyone watching, submit your question by visiting busyness.com, looking for the Ask Dr. Brad icon. Click on that, and submit your question. If we pick it at random and I answer it on air, you will also receive, just like Dawn, free access to our Entrepreneur Cash Map package valued at $497. And I'd also like to ask you to scroll down below. What about Dawn's question? What about my answer? Do you have any other advice for Dawn? Scroll down and leave a comment below. So that wraps up this episode of the Busyness TV show. I hope that you enjoyed watching. And I'd like to remind you to scroll down and comment below on any of the segments or just on the show in general. I'd also like to invite you to participate in a free training series called How to Combat Busyness and Live an Unbusy Lifestyle. I'm offering that on Google+. So simply comment below. Let me know what your Google ID is. Even if you're not engaged, you don't have an invite yet to Google+, let me know. I'll invite you so that you can participate with me. The feedback's been great thus far. It's never too late to join in the fun. Also like to remind you to register for show notifications by creating your free Busyness member account at busyness.com or by registering via iTunes. I'm Dr. Brad Semp, and I'll see you back here next Thursday and every Thursday for the Busyness TV show. Take care and bye-bye.